A young man traveled to Yunnan for the civil service exam. On the road he met a fortune teller who described his past without a single error, then laid out his future just as clearly: which year he would place which rank, which year he would marry whom, how long he would live, whether he would have a son. When the young man heard it, his heart felt nailed to a wooden board. He stopped striving, stopped asking, and only waited for each day to come true. Later, in a temple, he met a Zen master. The master said, "The fate you think you have is the fate you agreed to. Agree to it, and it becomes fixed. Refuse to agree, and fate can change." That young man later wrote a book for his son. Its title is Liaofan's 4 Lessons. Good evening. This is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we're reading Liaofan's 4 Lessons. If you're already lying down, dim the lamp a little more. Set the phone farther away. Pull the blanket up. The book is short, 4 lessons, together only about 10,000 characters, yet it has circulated among Chinese readers for more than 400 years, often called a book for changing fate. It doesn't argue about the heart the way records of practice and reflection does, or about measure the way the doctrine of the mean does. It feels more like a father writing by lamplight to his son, who gets the final word on fate. Tonight you don't need to memorize all 4 lessons or copy a merit and fault ledger onto your bedside table. Just follow my voice. Listen to a man of the Ming dynasty move from accepting fate to establishing it, and let thoughts of reform, paths of doing good, and the force of humility settle into daily life, little by little. Fall asleep halfway through? Don't worry. Fate won't change at midnight, but the heart can slowly loosen. I won't blame you. Let me say the plain thing first. Tonight you don't need to become a master of changing fate, and you don't need to list how much good you must do next year. You only need to carry away one feeling: some things may not be as dead written as you thought. Some things also won't change just because a motivational post shouts at you. Liaofan's 4 Lessons walks the road in between: honestly see your faults, patiently do a little good, quietly lower yourself a little. When you're done, you may fear the word fate a little less, and chase it a little less wildly. You don't need to understand everything. Close your eyes and listen. That's enough. The author of Liaofan's 4 Lessons was Yuan Liaofan, born Yuan Xuehai, a man of the Ming dynasty from the Wujiang area in Jiangsu. Liaofan was the style name he took later, suggesting leaving ordinary life behind. He served in office, studied Buddhism and Confucianism, and did not live a thunderous life, yet this small book left an enormous mark. He did not invent it from nothing. He shaped 4 lessons from 2 strange meetings in his youth: meeting Master Kong, meeting Zen Master Yungu, and from how he later reformed, did good, and practiced humility, then gave them to his son Yuan Tiankai. Lesson means teaching and warning. 4 lessons means 4 classes in living. Reading it is not like reading a thesis. It's like hearing a father spread the detours of his own road before his son and say, "I paid half a lifetime for these. You need not walk them again, but you should know them." The book took shape in the late Ming. Scholars differ slightly on the exact year, but broadly in the Yuan reign. As it circulated, titles and section order shifted a little. Some editions added a preface up front, some a postface at the end. The core 4 lessons stayed the same: learning to establish destiny, methods of reforming faults, ways of accumulating good, and the effect of humility. After the Qing, it was often printed as family instruction and moral literature, passed along with merit ledgers and daily examination charts. Modern readers have also criticized it for leaning too hard on cause and effect and sounding too much like a tract for doing good. But if you cannot sleep, if you keep thinking, "Am I just stuck like this?" the book is gentle. It won't demand that you turn your life around in one night. It teaches you to begin with one thought, one affair, one day. One day is also part of fate. Reading Liaofan's 4 Lessons, bring one question in with you. Am I being pushed by fate, or did I accept fate in my heart first? Liaofan won't hand you a checklist for changing fate. He'll show you why Master Kong's table seems so accurate, why Yungu's sentence could loosen you, why one line in a merit ledger can matter more than fortune-telling. 3 points circle around, but it's really one thing. Don't hurry to hand your life over to a verdict. That verdict may have been spoken by someone else, or it may be the word forget it you repeat to yourself at night. The young man who was calculated into stillness was Yuan Xuehai himself. In his 20s he went to Yunnan and met an old man on the road who called himself Master Kong. He knew the Huangji numerology of Shaoyang's line and could read a human life. Master Kong described his past childhood details, years of study, without the slightest miss. Xuehai was shocked and convinced, and asked about the future. Master Kong calculated item by item, which year he would place which rank, which year he would receive a stipend, which year he would hold which post and how much salary, then marriage, which regent's daughter, how many children, how many years of life. The cruelest line was this: you will never have a son. At 53, on the 14th day of the 8th month, in the hour of the ox, your young life ends. When Xuehai heard it, his heart went cold. Think about it. If a person already knows when he will die and whether he will have descendants, what is left to fight for? From then on he treated career and family as already arranged. He stopped raising large hopes and only said, fate has its fixed number. Master Kong's section is written in detail. Xuehai did not collapse at once. He still had exams to take and a life to live. But the string of striving inside him loosened. When results matched the calculation, he believed more. When they didn't, he thought, perhaps the right year has not arrived. Once a person hands the right of explanation over to fate, many things explain themselves automatically. Promotion, fate. No promotion, also fate. No son, still fate. If at night you feel life is stuck, sometimes it isn't truly stuck. Sometimes you have signed an invisible note in your heart: this is just how I am. The first lesson of Liaofan's 4 lessons is to let you see that note may have been written by someone else, or by your own hand. The book records one more thing. Master Kong calculated the year he would sit for an exam, his rank, even how much grain he would receive, all in concrete detail. Xuehai went to the exam and it happened exactly so, even the surname of the chief examiner. The more you hear, the more it feels like magic. But what magic fears most is not technique. It is your willingness to stop reaching out. Reaching out is not fighting fate. It is still being willing to do a little human work. Human work can be tiny and still be alive. Reply tomorrow to one late message. Speak one fewer harsh line tonight. That counts. Enough human work, and the words on the table tilt a little. A little tilt, and there is a road. Later Xuehai went to the capital and met Zen master Yungu at Baoguo Temple. Yungu was a famous monk of the time. He found Xuehai strange, a scholar with no fire left in him, like dead wood. When he asked why, he learned Xuehai had been fixed by Master Kong's calculation and had accepted fate. Yungu said, "I thought you were a hero. You're only an ordinary man. Ordinary men are bound by fate. Heroes dare to argue with fate." Xuehai objected, "Master Kong was so accurate. How is that ordinary?" Yungu said, "Accurate because you have not yet moved the thought of changing fate. Once you move, it stops being accurate." That sentence is the turning point of the whole book. Hearing it, you may ask, so all fortune-telling is false? That is not what Liaofan means. He means there is one kind of fate called number, like a table already written, and another kind called destiny, which is whether your heart accepts it and whether you change. Accept it as dead, and the table looks magical. Refuse to accept it, and the table can be rewritten. Yungu taught Xuehai to establish destiny. Establishing destiny is not quarreling with heaven. It is setting a new stone in the heart. Destiny is established by the self, blessing is sought by the self. Many hear that as whatever I think will come true. That is not it. Liaofan means, don't only wait for a verdict from outside. Rise in thought within the heart, rise in good thought, thought of reform, thought of humility, and the track outside may follow. He had Xuehai look back and ask whether, after being fixed by calculation, he had grown lazy about doing good, lazy about reform, lazy about humility. Yes. Xuehai admitted it. Admission is the first step in changing fate. If tonight you feel I am just this kind of person, ask first, who said so? Parents? A teacher? An ex? Or are you repeating an old line to yourself? You can stop saying the old line. Yungu also taught him to keep a merit and fault ledger. Each day, note a good deed. Note a fault too. In the evening, balance the accounts like closing a shop. At first Xuehai found it tedious. Later he slowly saw, tedium is what can hold a real person. Big slogans cannot change fate. One line a day can. Many versions of the ledger circulated among the people. Liaofan used a common format of his time. You need not memorize the format tonight. Only grasp the principle, make good and fault visible. Invisible, you deceive yourself. Visible, you feel ashamed to repeat the same fault. 3 minutes before sleep, recall one thing from today. Was there one place you could be more honest, softer, more yielding? If yes, note it in the heart. If not, don't praise yourself. Try again tomorrow. Trying is establishing destiny. The first lesson, learning to establish destiny, turns on this: ordinary people accept fate, sages establish it. Accepting fate means seeking an answer outside, then lying down to wait. Establishing fate means seeking an attitude inside, then walking and changing. Yungu also said, a person must plant deep roots. When roots are deep, branches and leaves can stand wind and rain. Deep roots are not mystical experience. They are steady reform, steady good, steady humility. Xuehai asked, can what Master Kong calculated still change? Yungu said, from now on stop accepting that table. Go do good and keep a good heart, and the table will change by itself. Xuehai half believed and half doubted, but he began. At first he was still called Xuehai. Later he took the style name Liaofan, also suggesting leaving behind the fate fixed by calculation. The name change was not magic. It was changing the plaque in the heart. The lesson on establishing destiny makes another distinction that matters: inner view and outer view. Outer view is fortune and misfortune as others see it, exam rank, whether there is a son, how many years of life. Inner view is the thoughts you rise in, your reform, your good deeds, your humility. Liaofan said, ordinary people only watch the outside, so the outside leads them. Sages first cultivate the inside, and the outside often follows. You need not master philosophy tonight. Just remember, outer view is like weather forecast. Inner view is like whether you wore enough clothes today. You cannot change the weather. You can add a layer. Add one, and the night is less cold. Cold is accepting fate. Adding clothes is establishing it. Yungu also taught him the practice of thought following thought. That does not mean sitting up all night in meditation. It means one thought by day, one reckoning by night. When a thought rises, ask, does this nail me to Master Kong's table, or loosen me toward tomorrow? Loosening is not blind optimism. It is still being willing to do human work. Xuehai did as taught and slowly found, not every day reversed like a miracle, but the deadwood in his heart put out new buds. New buds are small. Small is enough to stay alive. Alive is not already written to death. What comes next is what many people think changing fate means: do more good deeds. Liaofan would say yes, but not only that. Before doing good, you must know how to reform faults. Before reforming faults, you must know fear, courage, and shame. The second lesson, Methods of Reforming Faults, speaks of three hearts: shame, awe, and bravery. Shame is knowing you were wrong and feeling it on your face. Awe is knowing wrong has consequences and feeling a chill inside. Bravery is knowing you were wrong and changing at once, without delay. All three together, reform is real. Shame without action is performance. Awe without correction is escape. Bravery without shame is recklessness. If you spoke harshly by day and regretted at night, shame is moving. Fear the relationship may break, that is awe. Willingness to say sorry tomorrow, that is bravery. Match the three hearts before sleep, and you've read the second lesson. Reform also has three methods: reform the act, reform the principle, reform the heart. Act is concrete behavior. Principle is the reasoning behind it. Heart is the root of rising thought. Someone quits smoking in act but still feels wronged in principle and still wants a cigarette in heart. Relapse comes sooner or later. Liaofan wants act, principle, and heart to move together. Movement need not be loud. Start at the smallest place. Put the phone down 10 minutes earlier. That is not only closing the screen. It is admitting you're tired, respecting sleep, no longer bargaining with staying up. That is also reform. Don't look down on sleep a little earlier. For Liaofan, discipline is changing fate, not chicken soup. The lesson on reform also says, from the heart comes caution, from caution comes clarity, from clarity comes sincerity. When the heart is cautious, faults can be seen. When faults are seen, they can be changed. When they are changed, you can be sincere with yourself. Sincerity is not a high moral score. It is not lying to your own scale at night. If you pretend nothing happened by day, the scale rings at night, not because ghosts punish you, but because you know inside. Know it, note one fault, change one line tomorrow. One line beats 10,000 I will change. Liaofan saw too many people who said they would change and didn't, so he made the ledger detailed. Detailed is not to trouble you. It is so you won't sign another note that says this is just how I am. The book also says reform needs shame, awe, and courage, and above all do not think a small evil is too small. Small evil is like a small hole leaking your trust in yourself. Tell yourself one lie and you may replay it at night, not because spirits punish you, but because the scale in your heart tilts. Liaofan also served in office, had social obligations, faced difficulty. He is not a specimen of sainthood. He is a living man. Living men change fate not by one night's enlightenment, but by today I know the fault, today I change it. Immediate change is not perfection. It is direction. Direction right, sleep is steadier. The third lesson, Ways of Accumulating Good, has the most stories in the book. Liaofan tells many old examples of good deeds and returned blessing, and also kinds of good, true and false, straight and bent, yin and yang. True and false is whether the heart is sincere or performing for others. Straight and bent is whether the motive is upright or twisted. Yin and yang is open good versus hidden virtue. After doing good, should others know? Liaofan leans toward what is true, straight, and hidden, which often grows deeper roots. If you donate for reputation, the good remains but the root is shallow. If you quietly help a colleague without showing off, that is the deeper root. This is not teaching hypocrisy. It is teaching you not to turn goodness into performance. Performance is exhausting. It changes little fate and mostly changes persona. Sincerity may still tire you, but the heart loosens. The lesson on accumulating good speaks of 10 good deeds in some versions, slightly different across editions. The meaning is, one good deed a day, gradually thickening. Liaofan himself later sought a son. Following Yungu's teaching, he went on doing good, reforming, and practicing humility. At 50 he had a son named Tiankai, the son who later received this book. Historians dispute some details. Some scholars suspect later polishing. Tonight we are not trying a court case. We only read the warmth in the text, how a father used half a lifetime of conduct to loosen the verdict: you will never have a son. Loosening is not bargaining with heaven. It is bargaining with your own laziness, pride, and selfishness. You may not seek a son. You may seek sleep, peace, a little less blockage in the heart. The logic is the same: don't only wait. Do a little. Accumulating good also needs to tell straight inside bent and bent inside straight. Sometimes what looks straight has a twisted motive. Sometimes what looks bent has a straight motive. Liaofan gives many examples. You need not remember names. Remember the structure: before doing good, ask the heart. Heart upright, the act may still be imperfect, but the root is there. Heart twisted, the act may look splendid and still cannot hold the emptiness of night. Emptiness is a common aftereffect of accepting fate. Outside life goes on as before, inside nothing is wanted. Liaofan wants inside to slowly want a little good, a little truth, a little softness. Softness is not no principle. It is one fewer harsh line toward others and toward yourself. In the lesson on accumulating good, Liaofan tells a story about Wei Zhangda. Details differ slightly across editions. The gist is this: someone did good all his life, but in the ledgers of the other world open good was many and hidden virtue few, so blessing was limited. Later he began doing good without display. Hidden virtue grew, and his course turned. You need not believe the words other world. Believe the structure. Good performed for others to see and good done when no one sees do not weigh the same. That is not denying open good. It is warning you not to turn good into performance. After performing, you go home still empty, still accepting fate. Hidden virtue is like quietly dimming the lamp at night, dimming the part meant for others' eyes, brightening the part honest with yourself. He also tells old stories about Yang Rong, Do Shi, and others, all in the pattern one thought of good, turning and turning into blessing. Liaofan tells these not so you will believe in a timetable of retribution, but so you will see, good is like a snowball rolling from small places. Small places, blocking one cruel line for someone, yielding one step on the road, returning an advantage you took too much. Return it, the heart lightens. Lighter, sleep comes nearer. If you always feel my fate lacks blessing, ask first, today was there one place to accumulate a little invisible good? If yes, you already have one more ounce of initiative than fortune-telling gives. Initiative is the feel of establishing destiny. The lesson on accumulating good also has a finer three-part method: true and false, straight and bent, yin and yang. False good is unwilling in heart but willing on the surface. True good is willing in heart, steady in act. Straight good has upright motive. Bent good twists motive to trade for benefit. Yin good is done without telling. Yang good is done so others know. Liaofan is not asking you to be an invisible good person forever. He is asking you not to have only yang good and no hidden virtue. People with only yang good love checking reviews at night. One bad review and fate feels bad. Fate feeling bad is sometimes heart too full, with no room left for anything unseen. Unseen can also be good. Good leaves you a quiet piece of ground where you can sleep. The fourth lesson, the effect of humility, asks why humility can change fate. Liaofan said, "Fullness invites loss, humility receives gain." That is not a moral slogan. It is a pattern he saw among people. The book tells several examples of humble people who gained blessing in exams, in family fortune, in years of life. Humility is not putting yourself down. It is not planting yourself in the sky. In the sky, one wind shakes you. On the ground, you are steadier. If by day you always need to prove yourself, at night you replay how others see you. A little humility is not surrender. It is inviting how others see me to step out of the heart a little. A little out, the pillow is lighter. Liaofan himself later took exams and served in office. Some things did not match Master Kong's calculation exactly. He did not debate Master Kong. In his heart he knew Master Kong was not wholly wrong. He himself had moved. Moved, he is called Liaofan. Unmoved, he is still Xuehai, the sea of learning, which can also be read as drowned by the sea. The name is small. The heart is large. If the heart always feels I have enough, I still fall short, I must win all tiring. If it often feels I can still reform, I can still do good, I can still lower my head 1 inch, that is a living road. A living road suits bedtime thought. The 4 lessons together are one line. Establishing destiny is direction. Reform is clearing. Accumulating good is thickening. Humility is protecting the root. Direction, clearing, thickening, root, Niswan and Yulin. Only establishing destiny without reform is empty shouting. Only reform without good is harsh cultivation. Only good without humility is pride. Only humility without establishing destiny is softness. Liaofan wrote to his son not so the son would become a good person on a poster, but so he would not repeat the laziness of accepting fate in youth. Laziness is not the fashionable lying flat. It is giving up inside while the body still moves. Giving up is loudest at night. You can listen to Liaofan's 4 lessons alongside records of practice and reflection. Ming teaches extending innate knowing. Liaofan teaches destiny established by the self. Innate knowing is the scale in the heart. Establishing destiny is the sentence carved on the scale, I can change. Ming said breaking the thief in the mountains is easy, breaking the thief in the heart is hard. Liaofan said reform needs 3 hearts. The thief is in the heart. Reform is also in the heart. Ming taught refining on affairs. Liaofan taught 1 good deed a day, 1 fault examined a day. Both cut large truth into 1 slice per day. If you came from records of practice and reflection, tonight you can think of innate knowing as 1 honest line on the merit ledger. Is this thought pure today? Pure, note 1 good. Not pure, note 1 fault and change tomorrow. Compared with the doctrine of the mean teaches timely centrality. At this moment, what is fitting? Liaofan teaches on this day, was there a little good, a little reform, a little humility? Timely centrality is measure. Liaofan is measure accumulated day by day. Measure need not be large. Large once cannot hold a whole life. What holds is a little each day. Before sleep ask enough yet, that is the mean. Ask 1 line in the ledger today, that is Liaofan. The 2 questions can become 1, today, do I deserve this sleep? If yes, sleep. If not, don't punish yourself until dawn. Note 1 line. Change tomorrow. Tomorrow is the time Liaofan trusts most. Liaofan also studied Buddhism. Yungu was a Zen master, yet the book's tone is not strange or mystical. It speaks of cause and effect and also of being human. Some dislike that it sounds like a tract for doing good. Tracts for doing good are not low. Just don't read it as I donate and buy my fate. Liaofan stresses heart, reform, and humility, not transaction. Transactional good performed for display still leaves the night empty. Empty people love asking why haven't things improved yet. Liaofan asks first, when you did it, was the heart pure? Pure, good may come slowly. Impure, fast results may be illusion. The book has details that suit night thought. When Xuehai first met Yungu, Yungu asked, "Why don't you move?" He said, "Fate is fixed." Yungu asked, "Who fixed it?" He said, "Heaven fixed it." Yungu asked, "Where is heaven?" In your heart. When you accept fate in your heart, heaven looks fixed. When you refuse, heaven looks like an open window. The window is not instant wealth. It is one more breath, I can still do something else. Insomniacs lack that breath most. Without it, you replay. With it, you slowly loosen. How do you keep the ledger? Liaofan did not force you to buy a notebook. Use a memo on your phone, or only keep it in the heart. The key is daily accounting. Accounting is not anxious check-in. It is not living in a fog. Fog most easily leads to accepting fate anyway. I don't know, so forget it. Forget it, 3 words, is the master switch of accepting fate. Liaofan wants you to flip the switch back. I know, I reform, I do good, I practice humility. 4 verbs. Do one tonight. Enough. Some treat Liaofan's 4 lessons as ancient success literature. Not quite. Success literature loves saying you must win. Liaofan loves saying you must be true. True includes truly admitting you are not enough, truly admitting you have ugly thoughts, truly admitting today you only got this far. Only this far, you can sleep. Sleep is not giving up tomorrow. It is saving battery for tomorrow. Battery charges at night, not by draining at night. Draining is replaying why is my fate so bad. Charging is thinking tomorrow I can still change one line. One line is small. Small is enough. In later years Liaofan wrote his experience down for Tiankai, and also for later ages. Whether Tiankai followed it completely, history does not say in detail. But the book survived, which means someone needed it. The people who need it are often those asking at night, am I just stuck like this? Liaofan's answer, you may once have been, but you need not always be. Always is a subtitle you wrote yourself. Subtitles can be torn off. We're about halfway through the program. During this breath, one small favor. If tonight's voice has kept you company, tap like and subscribe, like leaving one lamp for me in the night. No need to sit up. One finger is enough. Good. Let's continue. In the second half I want to pull changing fate back to the pillow and keep it from becoming pressure. Liaofan is not asking you to make plans at 2 in the morning. He is asking you to have one fewer ugly thought by day and one more kind thought, so at night you hold one fewer trial in the mind. Trial is the byproduct of accepting fate, feeling everything is fixed, so you keep holding court in your head. Don't hold court. Note one line. Sleep. That is Liaofan's hidden thread for insomniacs. A few modern scenes to match against. At work, your leader misunderstands you, you swallow fire and accept fate, that's Xuehai. You still explain, but with a humbler tone and a little change in act, that's Liaofan. In love, the other person is cold, you replay destined loneliness, accepting fate. You are still sad, but first soften your own thorns, that's reform. With children, the child is not what you expected, you sigh no such fate, Master Kong's shadow. You still hope, but first change how you speak, that's accumulating good. With health, lab results frighten you, finished, written on the table, you still take it seriously, but tonight sleep 1 hour earlier, that's establishing destiny. Different scenes, same thread, don't hurry to accept death. Move a little first. Liaofan also speaks of the field of blessing. Field of blessing is not only a temple term. It is the place in your heart where things can be planted. Plant good, the field grows. Plant pride, the field thins. When thin, small things panic you. When thick, small setbacks still hold. Holding is not hard bracing. It is roots. Roots come from a ledger day after day, not from one motivational speech. Speeches heat the waking hours. Ledgers honest at bedtime. Honesty is the soil Liaofan trusts most. Let me speak again of yang good and hidden virtue. Yang good is good in the open, seen by others. Hidden virtue is good in the dark, without seeking return. Liaofan does not oppose yang good. He warns, if yang good is too much and hidden virtue too little, the heart floats. Floating hearts love scrolling reviews and comparing likes at night. Comparing is another form of accepting fate. If fate hangs only on outside applause, of course you cannot sleep. Hidden virtue is reserving a zone where you do not perform. In that zone you may quietly help one person, quietly speak one fewer line, quietly sleep earlier. Sleeping earlier, here at Bedside Book Voice, counts as hidden virtue, changing fate, establishing destiny. In the lesson on humility, Liaofan says, where there is humility, fate can change. Humility is not saying I am no good with your mouth. It is not grabbing credit against heaven and earth in the heart. Grabbing credit is all my effort. Humility is I did my part, and other conditions also matter. Conditions are not an excuse for fatalism. They are admitting the world is larger than me. Larger, the heart grows a little smaller. Smaller, the bed can hold you. Holding you is sleep. Not holding you is replaying why me. Liaofan himself later lived past the 53 years Master Kong named. The book records 74 years. Scholars dispute the dates. Tonight remember the meaning, not the number. The table is days lived out, rewritten little by little. Rewriting is not quarreling with Master Kong. It is quarreling with your own acceptance of fate. Quarreling is still being bound. Action is Liaofan. Action can be tiny, put the phone farther tonight. That is action. In the lesson on humility, Liaofan also says, humility receives blessing, pride invites harm. Pride is not confidence. It is always standing half a head above others in the heart. Half a head higher, shoulders tighten. Tight shoulders, no sleep. He gives examples of scholars who advanced through humility and stall through pride. Remember the tone, not the names. Humble people speak 1 degree less hard and listen 1 sentence more. Proud people speak 1 degree more full and listen less. Listen less, and at night you replay why don't they understand me? Whether they understand you may not be fate. Whether you can listen is heart. Heart 1 inch lower, pillow 1 inch wider. Wider is sleep. In later years Liaofan also reflected, though he did good early, he sometimes still carried pride, so blessing came slowly. Slowly is not punishment. It is reminder the roots are not deep yet. Deep roots are humility, reform, and hidden virtue growing together. Grow to a certain point, outer view also changes, different exam results, a son arrives, years extend. Change is not magic. It is days stacked on days. Stack 1 line in the ledger tonight. Stacking is quiet. Quiet suits bedtime. Some ask, then is fortune-telling still allowed? Liaofan did not say no. He said don't accept it as dead. Calculation can be reference. Accepting as dead is handing yourself out. Handing yourself out is most comfortable and most powerless. Powerless is loudest at night. Think of Master Kong as the one who calculated your past accurately. Think of Yungu as the one who asks whether you still want to accept. Asking is more precious than calculating. Precious because you still have the right to answer. Answer, I want to change. 3 words. Establishing destiny begins. It has little to do with success or failure and much to do with truth. If you are true, the path of fate may still be hard, but the heart is less twisted. Twisted is insomnia. Less twisted is not instant joy. It is slowly being able to sleep. For Bedside Book Voice, Liaofan's 4 Lessons is a bedtime honesty manual. Did I fault today? Did I do good today? Was I proud today? Answer one of the 3. Enough. For those hard on themselves, reform is not beating yourself up. Shame is not calling yourself trash. Bravery is not forcing perfection. Liaofan wants see it, change a little, sleep. For procrastinators, the ledger is not KPI. 1 line a day. If you cannot write good, write today I was honestly tired. Honesty is also good. For comparers, humility is not surrender. It is turning down the loudspeaker of comparison. Quieter, lighter pillow. For you who heard records of practice and reflection, young Ming said this heart is bright. Liaofan said destiny is established by the self. A bright heart dares to establish destiny. A heart that accepts fate is often dark, feeling anyway it's written, too lazy to wipe. Wipe, starting with 1 line in the ledger. For you who heard the doctrine of the mean, timely centrality is fitness. Liaofan puts fitness into each day. Sleep fitly, reform fitly, do good fitly, practice humility fitly. 4 fitnesses. You need not do all 4 tonight. Do 1. Sleep. A few often quoted lines to keep by the pillow. Destiny is established by the self, blessing is sought by the self, establishing means no longer lying flat accepting the table. Seeking is not greed. It is still being willing to accumulate a little good. All before was like yesterday's death, all after is like today's birth, later ages quoted for motivation. Liaofan's original meaning is quieter, don't be bound by yesterday's verdict. Today you can still write 1 ledger line. Keep 1 inch of ground, leave it for descendants to till, the inch is the field of the heart. Tilling is 1 good deed a day. Good need not be large. Tilled, the heart is not wasteland. Wasteland at night grows weeds. Weeds are replay. Another common night situation, 1 comment stings by day, and at night you feel this is just my fate. Liaofan would say that is 1 cell on the outer view, not the whole table. The table can change, starting with changing the heart. Changing the heart is not positive thinking brainwash. It is admitting the sting and noting 1 fault, maybe pride, thinking how dare they say that, maybe laziness, thinking forget it, I won't try. Write it down. Change a little tomorrow. A little change saves more sleep than fighting that sentence 100 rounds in your head. In marriage, use humility, 1 fewer line of I am only doing this for your own good spoken from fullness, 1 more line of I spoke too hard just now spoken from lowering. With children, use reform, after snapping, don't only accept fate with that's my temper. Note 1 line. Change 1 sentence tomorrow. At work, use accumulating good, hidden virtue is not flattery. It is sincerely helping once without display. Toward yourself, use establishing destiny, today ask only can I still change 1 line, not am I doomed to fail. Failure is sometimes the table. Changing 1 line is inner view. Compared with the great learning teaches knowing where to stop. Liaofan's 4 Lessons teaches stop accepting fate, then begin to change. Knowing where to stop is knowing when to halt. Liaofan's halt is stopping the handover of life to a verdict. Compared with the Analects, Confucius teaches the noble person seeks in himself. Liaofan's ledger is the accounting version of seeking in yourself. Accounts need not be pretty. Honest is enough. Compared with vegetable roots discourse, vegetable roots teaches lightness. Liaofan teaches reform. Lightness is fewer waves. Reform is when waves rise, you are still willing to gather them in. Gathering in is the verb bedtime needs most. Yuan Liaofan served as a local official, managed grain and taxes, judged civil disputes. He was not a man hiding in quiet temples. In office he also tried to land reform, good, and humility in policy, one layer less extraction, one layer more care, also good. Listening to lawsuits without pride, also humility. Officials are not the same for ordinary life. Today push responsibility one fewer time at work, speak one colder line fewer to family, yield one more step to a stranger, all rewrite the table. The table is not the one in heaven. It is the one in your heart that says, am I just stuck like this? Stuck like this, 3 words, rewritten once each night, loosens a little. Through history, Liaofan's 4 Lessons was reprinted again and again in moral books and family instruction. Some editions added illustrations, some added commentary. The core story stayed. Modern readers like Liaofan criticized the habit of moral tracts and warned against superstition. What they criticized was superstition, not honesty. Liaofan's honesty is, I once accepted fate, I reformed, I did good, I practiced humility, and days changed. You need not believe everything changed. Believe the heart can change a little. A little is enough for sleep. Versions tonight we won't chase. If you have a modern language, Liaofan's 4 Lessons and the 4 lesson titles match, you can listen. Listening matters more than memorizing. Memorizing is for exams. Listening is for bedtime. Bedtime wants story, warmth, and one sentence. You can still change one line. One line. See you tomorrow. We're closing the program. You need not remember Master Kong, Yungu, or Huangji numerology. Only remember, accepting fate is often a note you signed yourself. Establishing destiny is changing 4 words in the heart. I can. Can does not mean promotion and wealth for sure. It means one fewer ugly line, one more kind line, head a little lower, sleep a little earlier. Sleep is the smallest change of fate each day. Changing fate is not fighting heaven. It is fighting the word forget it at night. Forget it, you lose. Don't forget it, you are Liaofan. Before good night, one small question. After tonight, which small thing do you most want to try first? One ledger line, one fault reformed, a little hidden virtue, or one humble sentence? No need to answer now. After you wake, tell me in the comments. I read every one. If you like nights like this, subscribe and tap the bell so on the next sleepless evening I can find you again. Next time we may read Conversations Around the Stove. Liaofan teaches how to change fate. Conversations around the stove is more like talk beside a winter fire. Wan Yong been warming ordinary wisdom one sentence at a time. Unlike the stern lesson of 4 Lessons, it is chat. After chatting, the heart loosens more. Sleep comes nearer. Let the lamp stay dim. The ledger need not be full tonight. Destiny need not be fully established in one night. Tomorrow you still have to be human. Tonight be only the lightest part of being human, a person lying down, a person who can still change one line. If Yuan Liaofan could see you, he would probably say this is enough. Tear one corner off the subtitle of Accepting Fate. Leave tomorrow for tomorrow. Sleep. Good dreams for you tonight. See you in the pages tomorrow morning. One last gathering in for you. You don't need to become Yuan Liaofan or Yungu. You only need to become the self willing not to accept fate is dead tonight. Not accepting is dead is not arrogance. It is leaving a little softness, a little good, a little possibility of change in the heart. Possibility small. small enough for sleep, enough for tomorrow. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.